Hey guys, it's Wanda Vitale here with the Empowered Empaths, and I'm recording this on November 6th, which is the day here in the United States when the election was called. I was literally gobsmacked. I think that's a word. And I just wanted to remind any of you who may be feeling despair or hopelessness that some of the things that I know and that I know in my bones, and maybe you don't know them in your bones yet. So the number one thing is this is a dream, and I'm not minimizing it. I'm not minimizing it. You're a soul having a dream that you're separate, and you decided to immerse yourself in a world of polarity, duality, drama. And it's a dream and it's real. Actually, our experience is real. It's the only part of it that's real. So, number one, what we call reality is really what I call the reality mirror. It is flexible, it changes, and it can change on a dime. What we're looking at is the projection of the collective. And all of you know that the majority of the people on the planet, and especially here in the United States, haven't woken up yet. They're living in fear. They're living in judgment. They're living in duality, right? So while I am sad that the election turned out the way it did, it may change. There's some things going on that I know it may change. And number two, what I know is that Spirit knows what it's doing. We're in the center of the biggest shift that humanity has ever seen. This is a huge cycle. And it takes intensity for people to wake up. We don't just decide, for instance, to trust the language of our soul or trust our intuitive hits or to trust the rest of us when life is good, when we don't have a reason to be challenged. So right now, a lot of people are going to be challenged. And number three, what I want to say to you is if you're a change maker, if you're one of the people who's here to change the world, this may be what finally makes you kick in and say, I don't care how reluctant I am to step up and be seen. You may be saying, I don't really care if I don't know how. My time is now. So that's the other thing. And I want to remind you about how we wake up in this dream. It's not by reacting to what we don't want. When we react to what we don't want, we create more of what we don't want. The way to change the dream is to look at what's happening and to decide, without engaging emotionally in it, to decide, this is what I prefer. This is what I would prefer to see. And then you got to be the person who's experiencing that. You've got to look for proof of that reality now. It's what your mind will do. Use this time to get really clear on what you prefer. And if this is your time to finally write the book or do the thing or speak your truth or stop being ashamed of your past, start talking about the things that you know other women and other people need to know. Go public with it because you're here for this change. Because of the nature of this simulation, the reality mirror, it can change. And it changes when we do. It changes when we decide to be peace. It changes when we decide to live in integrity. If all we see is integrity, the world that exists where there is no integrity must dissolve. The dream has to change. There will be a plot twist. It works this way. Don't go into despair. Let yourself grieve if you're grieving. I did some this morning, and what I want to do is give you a tool so that you can feel the feelings. Feel your feelings and then create something else powerfully. I just used this with a client yesterday. I feel hopelessness because I choose to believe I must. I feel fear because I choose to believe I must. This is a brilliant tool because when we were little, we felt certain things and decided that when I feel this, like fear, when I feel fear, it means bad things are going to happen. No, it doesn't. It's what you decided as a little kid. Right now, when these big global events are happening, as intuitives, we feel them. And we're being asked to say, wait a minute, is this me or is this the collective? We have to do that. And then we have to ask, what story am I telling about this feeling? Because whatever story we're telling proliferates the feeling. We get more of it. It's how we create when you understand that we are the quantum field. Use that tool. If you're feeling fear, I feel fear because I choose to believe I must. That was a decision that you made as a child. When you felt fear, you go into story about what it means. But nothing has any inherent meaning. Nothing has any meaning. We give it meaning. Energy is neutral. So try that. Also, by the same token, if you're feeling overwhelming joy, use it and say, I feel overwhelming joy because I choose to believe I must. This is how we unhook these deep, dense feelings from having any impact in our lives or on the reality mirror. It unhooks the feelings from a negative story. What I know from having experienced my own reinvention in my life when when my life as I knew it changed, it completely disappeared, and I had to reinvent myself from the ashes up and do it in my mid. I know that things can change on a dime. I know that what looks bad is actually good. I know that everything is here to serve us. I know that you're part of this big wave that's happening on the planet, and that you are part of this split. If you're watching this, you're part of the split, the people that are going to split off from 3D and polarity and move into what many call 5D, that I call the era of the innocent child. But things like today is what it takes to get people shaken up, shaken and stirred. So many of you have messages and stories to deliver, and you're afraid to do it. You're afraid. And I understand that. You're afraid to be vulnerable. You're afraid that people will judge you. But as a coach, what I know is that all of us who used to judge ourselves, who are afraid of being vulnerable and authentic, are the exact people that the world needs to shine a light into some of the things that have gone on our planet forever, like incest, like rape, like homelessness. I just talked to someone today who was dumped into an orphanage when she was a little kid. The Magdalene Laundries, I'm going to do an interview with her. And it's the same kind of thing that happened with little Native American kids that were taken from their homes and put in Indian schools. I'm part Cherokee. My grandmother's mother was in the Trail of Tears. So the Native American story of this is near and dear to my heart. But it's the same thing, whether it's the church or little Native American kids. People don't want to know what happened. Just like some people don't want to know what happened during World War II. There are history deniers. All this stuff has to come out. We have to get rid of the shame and the blame. And the only way that that happens is when those of us who are willing to be real and raw speak up, because life isn't meant to be, oh, I always get what I want. By the time we're in our midlife, we have been smacked around enough. And it is time for you to speak up. And so I hope that whatever you're experiencing today, that you let it stir you to step in to what you came here to say and be and speak as a soul. Because I think today, for many of us who are in the United States, it's one of those days that instead of just backing down, it makes us stronger. It makes us more determined to be peace. It makes us more determined to speak out about injustices that are happening. It makes us more determined to show up and talk about the things that we've learned in our lives. It's why I teach creation, co-creation. It's why I teach that you're a soul with a body and we're making it up and we can make up anything. Let yourself grieve today if you need to grieve. Let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. And if your party won, then please understand that many people are experiencing a very tender heart today. I'm not really political. My whole shtick in life is to make kindness rule, to make unconditional love rule, and to leave the judgment and the right, wrong, good, bad behind. There's no place for any of that in what I call the Christ consciousness, or the consciousness of the innocent child. And it's a process to get there. Thanks for listening, and let this inspire you to step up into your greatness, into the work that your heart is calling you to do. And just remember, reality is a projection. What we call physical is really just each of us telling the particles of creation how to show up. And we do that with our awareness. We do that with the stories that we tell, with our inner speech. And we can focus anything into existence out of the blue. Some people would say out of the blue, but it's because everything exists. Every outcome that you can imagine already exists. The outcome that you want is just waiting for you to become the version of you already experiencing it. We do that by changing our identity, and then the world changes. And when a lot of us decide that nothing but peace and kindness will do, when a lot of us decide that the old elders and the sick and communities that are marginalized are no longer marginalized, it has to change. And this is why astrologers tell us that we are in the times that are very similar in the United States to the American Revolution. So I would invite you to be part of the love revolution and to really discipline your mind when it wants to go in a story about complaining and judging, because whatever we do, whatever we focus on, we speak into being. Thanks for listening, everybody. And if you haven't hit subscribe, do so. I want us all as empaths to be empowered, to be powerful, and to powerfully create a world that we're proud of, a world who sees integrity and kindness as the only way to be. All right? Thanks for listening.